Welcome everybody. Either good morning or good afternoon, depending on which side of the country or the world you're on. My name is Ian Alexander. I head up marketing for Talemetry, and I am joined by Stephen Schwander, who heads up our client solutions group. And we're here today to talk about recruitment marketing and our Talemetry's integration with iCIMS, which is a brand new partnership that just came out and we're pretty excited about. So today we're going to talk about telemetry, give you a little bit of overview of who we are, talk about Talemetry's recruitment marketing solution, give you a broad overview of that. We're going to talk a little bit about what telemetry allows you to do from a strategic standpoint, talk a little bit about how we integrate with iCIMS, and then take a look at the product. So with that, we'll jump right in. I should say, from a housekeeping standpoint, if you want to ask questions, go ahead and ask questions at any time. We probably will get to them at the end, but feel free to chat them into the little chat box there on your GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar console when they come to you. So we'll have them, and we'll jump in on them if they're appropriate to what we're talking about at the moment. But typically, my experience is we deal with those at the end. All right. So Talemetry was founded in 1999. We offer a platform of solutions for getting more of the right candidates to apply for your jobs, right? So that starts with, from an inbound attraction standpoint, job distribution, getting your jobs out to social networks, job boards, recruiting agencies, digital ads, etc. We help you source and engage candidates, your outbound sourcing, where you're reaching out and finding the candidates that meet the opportunity that you're recruiting for. And we also provide a platform for hosting mobile and social optimized career sites and applications. So we deal with that candidate experience side of the recruitment marketing portion. And we are now an iCIMS partner, and we have developed some plug-and-play integrations that allow you to integrate and share information with your iCIMS recruiting platform.
Excellent. So let me talk a little bit about how this works. And frankly, iCIMS as an ATS has had a fantastic approach to recruitment marketing and sourcing in general, and it's really extended typical ATS functionality to extend out into recruitment marketing. So we are really pleased to partner with them to do what I would sort of call supercharge recruitment marketing and sourcing. So this picture will give you kind of a little sense of how we work. So when we talk about Source and CRM, we're really talking about outbound marketing. It's the ability for clients to build a talent pool, to track what we call pre-applicant recruiting activity. So, finding people, reaching out to them, engaging them, encouraging them to apply for jobs as they come up. We're able to, because of the integration, source from what we would call internal sources. So these would be all of your past applicants, because as we well know, a lot of the past applicants, they get through to a certain point, but there was only one opening, and so one person gets hired, a bunch of other very good people get rejected for that opening, but they might be great for additional openings as they come forward. So you can source from your past applicants, you can source from talent networks that get built when people opt in to hear about your opportunities, employee referrals, external candidates from third-party databases, etc. Then we allow you to engage with the talent pool, right? So send email campaigns, do what I like to call mature your data. So you might have some work history, but then you find out more and you add tags and notes and all of that sort of thing. You build pipelines, both for strategic pipelines for jobs that don't exist yet, or shortlists for jobs that currently exist. You nurture candidates, and then you really optimize your recruiting activities. So what activities are your team doing that are actually driving to building talent networks and driving to bring hires into the organization, and you optimize via analytics, right? Taking a look at what you're doing and what's actually driving that. Now, we also talk about inbound attraction. This is where you get the word out into various media. And, since I started recruiting back in, well, I won't say, but it was just before the internet, we've moved from newspaper advertising to, online advertising to, as my mother would say, umpteen channels, right? So many channels it's hard to keep track of. So when we focus on inbound attraction, we want to make sure that we can automatically distribute your jobs to the job boards that make sense for your specific opening. So, if it's an IT role, you want it pushed out to the IT boards, and if it's a finance board, you want it pushed out to the finance boards, diversity boards, etc. So, based on the business rules we create in the system, we want to be able to automatically distribute that out as widely as possible. So this way we pull all of your jobs in from iCIMS, and then we kind of map posting rules there. But then we also want to give you, the ability to push it to niche sites that maybe you as a recruiter know about, but that your team didn't set up from an automated posting. So whether it's automated or manual posting, or it's creating URLs to be used in pay-per-click advertising, etc., we want to make sure that you've got one platform to push all of your jobs out to the market, so you can track them and all of the applicants go into iCIMS. So what's the end result? We want to make sure that you can get more of the right candidates to apply for your jobs, utilizing the same budget or maybe even spending less money, right? So again, by implementing modern strategies, business rule strategies, optimizing your channels with source to hire analytics and source to interview analytics and source to job analytics, you can really spend the money much more wisely, and in many cases actually lower your spend altogether. So a recruitment marketing platform is going to allow you to be, as a team, much more proactive, right? We've always talked, and I was in recruiting for a couple of decades now, and it always feels so reactive. Jobs come open, we post them, we hope that the right people apply, and we're always just a tad bit behind the 8 ball. So with a recruitment marketing platform that's integrated with your ATS, it gives you the ability to be more proactive, right? So what is proactive recruiting? It's simply a recruiting strategy that emphasizes proactively identifying the talent you need and then actively searching for them and engaging that talent both at your point of need when a role opens, but even more importantly, prior to need, right? And this is what an integrated talent recruitment platform is going to allow you to do. So how do you proactively recruit? Well, first of all, it's about sourcing, right? We talked earlier about your past ATS applicants. You don't want the good ones who didn't get a job to disappear. We call those silver medalists. You want to be able to source from them. You want to be able to build talent networks. These are groups of people who came to your site and said, I'd really like to work for your company. There might not be a position open now, but here's my resume. Keep in touch with me. And so you build that relationship. It's going out on LinkedIn and finding very targeted talent from LinkedIn. It's reaching out to the social networks. It's pulling data in from resume databases that you may have access to, like Beyond and Career Builder and Monster and Dice and eFinancial Careers, etc. It's building up your referral network so that this data comes in not just against a job, but comes into your CRM so that you can continually target those referrals. And then it's managing events in such a way that that data doesn't get lost at the end of the event. Right, so it's first sourcing, it's building that database, getting all sources into one place. And then it's pipelining, right? So it's beginning to centralize that database and then segment appropriate talent pools. So you might segment your talent pools by, I don't know, job family. You might segment them by job family and location, all depending upon the types of recruiting that you're doing. Then you want to engage these folks. And you can engage them, sending email campaigns that are ad hoc, that are strategic. You can have recruiters sending out email campaigns to individuals to apply for a specific job, or you can have a recruitment marketing team that perhaps sends out very large mass email campaigns to wish veterans a happy Veterans Day, right? or you can just have some simple nurture campaigns as people come into your CRM. Thank you so much for your interest, and then drip campaign to them over time, so you're engaging in each segment of your talent in a way that makes sense for them. And what this does is it builds a conversation, right? It increases the likelihood that when they finally apply for a job, they're not only qualified, but they're interested. It reinforces your brand messaging over a period of time, not just the first time that they come to your career site. And this engagement can actually be done automatically as well as on an ad hoc or strategic basis. So if you have a CRM tool that has some automated email campaign capability based on, let's say, pre-application stages or folders that people belong to, then that just helps your recruiting team be able to focus on the things that drive higher value. And then in terms of attraction, you want to be able to auto-distribute to job boards, get that message out as widely as possible so that as people apply for open jobs, they're there later on to source from as past applicants as well.
Okay, so as Stephen was talking about, more proactive recruiting, and that's what a recruitment marketing platform like Talemetry can enable for you. But why? Why are we doing that? Well, one of the big reasons is job boards, that attraction side of the equation, are less and less efficient as time goes on here, and that's because the supply and demand ratios have changed dramatically in the last several years. And in fact, right now there's about 1.5 active candidates available for every job, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's not 1.5 qualified applicants, that's just 1.5 active applicants. And so increasingly, your best candidates are employed someplace else, right? And job boards are not known to be really great at dealing with those kind of casual or passive candidates. Another thing that's happening at the same time is those channels to candidates are getting very, very fragmented. This is not just recruitment marketing, this is marketing in general, right? So from a recruitment marketing standpoint, there is a proliferation of a lot of different kinds of job boards, specialized, etc. So there's more places to go to be either looking for a job or posting a job. The competition for attention. So as you're, everybody's sort of walking around with their handheld device, and it's feeding them messages from their social networks. They're from the internet. People are otherwise engaged. So it's more difficult from an attraction standpoint to get your messages in front of them and get those messages consumed and understood and acted upon. So again, I say it again, passive candidates and referrals play a much larger role in recruiting today. Another thing in terms of making the case for more proactive recruiting is recruiting's now a very multi-channel process, much like traditional marketing. So whereas recruiting might be very attraction-based in the past, where you could sort of push a job out to your trusty job boards and get a lot of candidates back, it's just not that, as I said before, it's not that as efficient anymore. And so you need multiple channels and multiple programs working together. So that's everything from outbound sourcing, as Stephen was talking about, searching for candidates and engaging them on a one-on-one basis, using resume databases or social networks, working with your inbound attraction, right? So you're also getting candidates from job boards and social networks, digital ads, agencies, whatever channels you're using, your referrals, your events, even internal mobility. You need to be marketing to these particular channels together, and in such a way that they work together to maximize the efforts across all channels. And a big part of that is your centralized proprietary candidate database, your talent pool that Stephen was talking about before. So in terms of why proactive recruiting, you definitely have more control. And when I say more control, it means when you're going out looking for the talent that you need, you're establishing and you're defining what that talent is, right? And you're filling your own talent pool with those more likely to be qualified candidates, as opposed to kind of attraction strategies where you're putting your jobs out in front of people and you're doing your best to segment that and get in front of the right people. But as we all know, you can tend to get a lot of chaff with the wheat. So the proactive recruiting really allows you to be much more in control of who you're marketing your jobs to. And again, you have that growing resource of those people that you both attract and source growing over time, and you can become more reliant on that as your main source of hire as it grows and as you do those kinds of nurturing and branding campaigns that Stephen was talking about. Proactive recruiting also maximizes your programs, right? So as you're going out, as I said, to job boards and recruiting agencies and having events, all of these things are funneled back into that centralized talent database. And because you are funneling all those things in there, if you don't hire them today, you can hire them for a job that's maybe more appropriate down the line. And again, it becomes that trusted source. And again, as Stephen was saying, you can become more relationship-based rather than transactional-based because you can communicate with those candidates over time. This reduces your cost per applicant because, again, the more you grow your centralized resource, the more you're going to be sourcing and hiring from that. And all that money that you're spending on job boards and recruiting agencies and events is getting maximized because you're keeping those candidates and you have a great tool to go back and find them again when you have appropriate jobs. So you're not essentially buying the same candidate over and over again, which many companies get in the habit of doing or have gotten in the habit of doing over the last several years as they, sort of just advertise a job when it comes to and get this and sort of paying for those same candidates to come back into their system. It decreases your time to hire because, again, as you become more reliant on that centralized proprietary database that you're growing, you are able to tap that quickly when a job becomes open. And with the telemetry system, you can even set it up so your system automatically taps it when you open up a job requisition within iCIMS. So recruiters are sitting down and reacting to candidates based on auto searches that you've set up rather than going out, squinting in front of a screen and searching for candidates. And then finally, it increases the quality of hire, again, for that control reason. You're determining who's getting into your talent pool, and you're really getting to know who they are and which ones which pipelines are the most effective for you. So over time, the more you know your candidate talent pool, the more the quality of hire is going to increase. So, Stephen, are you taking this one or me?
Have your name in there.
Okay, so telemetry enables, hey, peek
Love
behind
it.
the curtain, people. So telemetry enables you to centralize your talent pool into a shared proprietary talent pool, right? So we've talked about this before. We've looked at this slide. You're taking all of those candidates that come in, whether they're through your ATS or whether they're from your recruitment marketing activities, and they're all going into the same talent pool that you can source and search from, and Stephen's going to show you that in a bit. You can aggressively grow that talent pool, right? So we give you the tools to not only build that talent pool, but understand what's in that. How fast is it growing? How many did you have 3 months ago? How many did you have today? Within that talent pool, where did they come from? Did they come from your ATS? Did they come from job boards? Which job boards did they come from? Did they come from a recruiter? Did they come from an email campaign? We give you those views so you can really maximize that. So the idea there is that, again, all channels feed into this, and you can then manage where they came from, understand who they are, and the last bullet there, don't be afraid of too much data. Having this kind of technology really allows you to go broad and get a lot of candidates in there into your CRM, but also you have the tools to really weed through it very quickly. So you don't have to be afraid of kind of too much data. Telemetry also enables you to organize your talent pipeline. Stephen referred to it before. If you look at the graphic there, there's sort of a horizontal layer there, which is, or I should say a vertical layer, which is kind of what types of job families are within that in your talent pool. You can create pipelines for those based on job family. So you know how many engineering candidates you have within your pipeline, and you know how many QA analysts. Whatever job families are strategic to you, you can really understand what's your capability of meeting hiring demand in the future, and how is your talent pool made up. But we also allow you, much like within your applicant tracking system, we allow you to set up pre-applicant stages. So you not only get a sense of who's in your candidate talent pool, but what stage are they in? Are they brand new? Is most of your customer success manager talent pool brand new and they've never been touched or dealt with or reviewed or tagged? Or have they kind of been matured through the process and we've been communicating with them for a long time? You can kind of make sure that the value of your talent pool is being realized and activities are happening against that talent pool that are going to enable you to be much more proactive and successful in your proactive recruiting activities. And it also allows you to engage your talent pool, right? So you can use pipelines. So you've got these pipelines set up. You can use those to drive content out to your potential candidates. So you're able to understand who's within a certain pipeline and what kind of content might be most relevant to them. So you're not sort of sending out broad branding information, company information, you know, pictures of the break room. You can really go in and say, I've got an engineering pipeline and we've got an engineering department that just won an award or is doing some really cool stuff. You can use those pipelines to really reach out and engage those potential candidates with relevant content that's relevant to them. And that's everything from those nurturing campaigns or what jobs are relevant to them. Use those pipelines to really send out invitations to apply for the kinds of jobs that they're going to be most interested in.
You know, and I think this is key too. You've talked a lot about, you know, big data. Don't be afraid of all of the data that's in the system, building pipelines, you know, segmenting, sending out, you know, messages. And, you know, quite frankly, you know, just yesterday, I got 2 invitations to apply for roles that, you know, would have been appropriate for me 15 years ago. You know, so again, you know, there's so much recruitment marketing out there that's just, you know, throwing a lot of stuff out there and hoping something sticks when if you've got a really good recruitment marketing system that can you know, segment the database and send targeted results, you know, you're not going to get people upset at you know, email invites that don't make sense for them. So, you know, when you're using a platform like Talemetry, you can also then, as you do all of this activity, kind of analyze those key metrics, right? So you know if you set some strategy for your recruiting team, are you meeting that strategy? So the kind of metrics you want to track from a pre-application perspective is my talent pool growing? And is it growing in the right skill sets, right? How large is my pipeline? And what, you know, what does that, you know, what does that matter? We'll see that in a moment. You know, what are the hiring rates of my overall pool and my individual pipeline? So if I've got, you know, X number in my pool, how many do I typically hire? So that I can kind of see those ratios. What are the sources of candidates that are within my talent pool, and which ones are most effective? Am I spending, you know, wise data money pulling people in from Career Builder and Monster? You know, am I spending tons of money on LinkedIn but not really getting, you know, the right traction? You know, what are the hiring rates by the source of candidates within those talent pools? And it's really understanding these key metrics that will help you, yeah, you know, manage your cost, optimize, but most importantly, predict your ability to meet hiring demand. So look at the little case study down here at the bottom, right? So let's say you need 300 civil engineers. You've got a pipeline of about 6,500 candidates. You know, because of the past data, that your conversion rate's about 3%. So right now, your hiring capacity is about 185, right? Because you've only got 6,500 candidates. So what you've got to do then is go out and build that pipeline so that the ratios are going to meet your predictive hiring requirements. So telemetry is going to let you do this. It's going to help you to optimize and do the best you can with your organization in 3 specific areas. Number 1 is data. making sure that you have enough of the right kind of data, that you're able to organize it in such a way that you can track what's happening. It's going to help you optimize by programs, so you monitor, the activities. What are your recruitment marketing people doing? What are your sourcing people doing, right? What are the messages in the programs that you send out? So let's say you want to send out a campaign for, in the last case, civil engineers. Maybe you send out 2 different campaigns. Which one's actually bringing you better results? And then what is your team doing? Right? Are they doing the right activities, or did you identify for them the right activities that actually lead to hires? Or do you need to change up what they're doing? Do you need to train them up into a new approach? So let's talk just real briefly about some of the integration capabilities. So when you're using Telemetry CRM with iCIMS, what we're able to do because of our partnership and our integration is, number one, synchronize all of your applicant data from iCIMS. So as soon as somebody applies for a job in iCIMS, we're going to synchronize that data into your sourcing tool. Now, this is going to let you source past applicants right alongside of current people you don't know yet, kind of marry those two worlds of data together. It's going to let you segment past applicants into more specified talent pools, so that you can better reach out to them, maybe for jobs that are more relevant for them. It's going to help you track your sourcing activity, so you'll be able to tag all those past applicants. You can invite them to apply for active jobs, and then you can track the results of that. You can engage them. You can provide, really nice, robust, and seamless candidate experience. So, when you send out emails, you invite them directly to apply in iCIMS. Everything is, beautifully branded, all the same. So, it really gives you, much more of an end-to-end solution than just simply the applicant tracking solution. And then secondly, we're going to synchronize your requisitions from iCIMS, and the platform, depending upon what you're using, is going to use those jobs for any number of reasons. So number one, we're going to use those job URLs to be able to track all the sourcing activity and send out invitations to apply to hire, right? So if you send out an email, you don't want to send somebody an email that says, hey, come to my website, look for this job title. You want that URL to be right in that email, and for that to be a seamless experience. We also use the jobs to create what we like to call a job project, or a job folder, or a job list, right? Meaning that the job opens up in iCIMS, it gets synchronized into Telemetry, and you can now use it as an organizing principle to develop a pipeline and shortlist for that specific job. And then we also will synchronize, step and stage data, or disposition data, if you will, coming out of the ATS. This helps you do a couple of things. Number one, it helps you to target silver medalists. So let's say, for sake of argument, you can run a search on everybody who made it to a second interview in jobs matching a specific job family. You've probably done a pretty good job now isolating silver medalists, people who made it far but didn't get the final offer, so that you can now then target to them. So it helps you to target the best of your past applicants. But then secondly, it also helps you to exclude active candidates or active applicants from email activity, right? So the last thing you want to do is send somebody an email to apply for job B when they're in their final interview stages for job A. So by synchronizing that data, we're able to help you manage that. And it also does a third thing. It actually helps us then provide you with some analytics that can really drive far deeper than just simply source to job or source to hire analytics. So we can synchronize job requisitions with iCIMS, exactly as I said earlier, but also for posting jobs to external job boards, right? So we've got your job data. We've got the metadata that's sitting on each requisition. We can then use the metadata to build business rules, job distribution mechanisms, right? So that most of our clients don't even touch 80 to 85% of their jobs. They automatically get pushed out into the marketplace in a very wide, deep way. We can also then give you some targeted manual posting, and we can give you targeted hire tracking. So we're going to give you URLs. We're going to help you create custom URLs for campaigns, so that you might want to pull 5 or 6 jobs together across 6 or 7 channels to market, and then report on that as a single campaign. The nice thing also about the synchronization for jobs is that if a job is pulled down or canceled or put on hold inside iCIMS, then it's going to get pulled off of the internet and the job advertisement world as well. In terms of CRM, again, we can synchronize jobs for targeted mobile sites. So let's say you have a landing page or a microsite that you want specifically for, let's say you have sales, you're hiring salespeople, right? You want to put together a nice landing page. We're going to give you the capability to do that. But because of the jobs integration, in addition to telling people about what it's like to work in sales, and maybe giving them a button to join a talent network, you can quickly give them a list of all the jobs that are open in iCIMS right on that landing page without them having then to go and search separately for that. So it allows for very targeted job distribution onto your career sites as well as into the job boards. All of that is auto-posted. It helps candidates find jobs much quicker, and then we can also create some custom mobile application process workflows, also based on the job types, right? So you might have different application workflows if you're using our candidate experience solution. So as you come in and apply maybe for a really hard to fill position, that might be a very quick mobile apply process. For a more high volume position where it requires a little bit more online data gathering, it might be a longer process. And so we can give you that different mobile experience per job based upon the information that we've got synchronized from iCIMS.
All right, Stephen, I will give you control now, and you can give us a quick look at iCIMS, or no, excuse me, telemetry.
I was going to say, it made me nervous there for a second because all of a sudden you got me out of my expertise realm. So let me just quickly share my screen and get rid of my controls there if I can. I can never hide these controls. There they go. Okay, excellent. Good. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'll keep it relatively high level, but I want to give you a really good understanding of what a truly integrated recruitment marketing platform looks like. So I've logged in here to the telemetry solution, and this is my navigation panel here, and I can go ahead and hide that to my left so I can see my dashboard. And I've logged in to a recruiting dashboard here. I could have logged into the company dashboard and shown how many jobs were integrated out of the ATS, how many career sites were live, how many applicants were in the pool. But I'm going to skip to the recruiting dashboard for now, so we can kind of continue with some unique workflows. So I can tell in my recruiting dashboard that I have a number of jobs that have been opened. These jobs have all been synchronized into telemetry from iCIMS, and I was the recruiter attached to that requisition in iCIMS, so therefore it becomes my job here in telemetry as well. And I'm looking at a little bit of a pipeline here. I can see some activity on my jobs here. So my HRIS specialist job has been open for 1,232 days. I'm just happy to keep my my recruiting job. I still haven't filled it, but I do have a pipeline here. I've got about 126 candidates. Of those candidates, 6 of them actually were invited to apply, and I actually have 8 applicants, which tells me that some of these folks applied, and some other people may have come to this role from a job posting, etc. So it gives me a good sense as a recruiter for the activity on my specific job. It also shows me where I've been active, right? So where have I viewed candidates, what types of activities have I taken on candidates, and in what folders, and in what emails, what types of activities have I had recently, and I can take a look at my history by month. And the interesting thing is my manager can also see all of this activity. I can also see how I stand up against some other folks in my team in terms of how much activity they've got, both from searching for people and sending them jobs and bringing people into the database as well. But as a recruiter, it's very important for me to be able to understand what's happening on my job. So this HRIS specialist job, for instance, or the HR business partner role here, all I have to do is click in there, and now I'm moving from my dashboard, which is kind of giving me an aggregate view, into this specific job project, right? So this job, again, was synchronized, came over from iCIMS, and I've got all of the job description here. I've got metadata down here from which I can set business rules and create job lists to post them out and do all of that activity that I talked about before. So that's where all that data came out of my applicant tracking system. I can run some activities on here, and just change a view here on the job. I can run activities on the job if I want to check and see where this job has been posted. I can see the history of the job marketing here. So remember, I said all of this happens automatically, so I can see all of the places that it was automatically posted and how much money was spent by the organization posting it out there. I can also clone it. I can assign it to somebody else. There's all sorts of things that I can do on the job. But more importantly, as I come back out here and check on the activity of my job, I want to see, do I have any traction here from an applicant perspective? And lo and behold, I found out that I've got about 21 people that are assigned to my job project. And in this list, I've got about 10 people who have actually applied for jobs. And so when I come into my job project, I notice of the 21 people, these 10 folks have actually applied to jobs. I can log in or click their data, and I can quickly see, from my ATS where they've applied to jobs and what their activity is on that job. If I'm not happy with the number of applicants that I have for that specific job, what I would do as a sourcer then is I would jump out into my sourcing mechanism. This is where we're going to build the candidate database, as we said earlier. So let's say, for sake of argument, that this is a software engineering role. So I'm going to run a new search now, and I get all the type ahead capability here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the recommendation for software developer. I may now want to add a location, which I can do by city, state. I can do it by city, country. I can do it by postal code. I can take the default radius around that, or I can increase the radius a little bit for folks that like to drive a little bit further to work. And I can begin to build some keyword searches here. So in this case, I'm going to search for somebody that knows Java. I may want to add some additional related keywords. So the system has been looking for resumes for a long time and has built some smart capability to recommend to me some additional keywords that are related to Java. So I can go ahead and hand pick them here and add them to my search, or I can just go ahead and add all of them at once. Now the problem with this is I'm treating all of these keywords with the same interest level, so I want to go ahead and make Java absolutely required, keep all of the other ones as a nice to have for now, and I may need to add a database as well, so I can tip ahead and find an Oracle database here or a SQL database, etc. Now before I search for that, let's talk a little bit about when I'm searching for data, where do I search? If you remember that slide that showed you internal and external data, well, telemetry is all my internal data. This is all your past applicants from iCIMS, and anybody who's joined your talent network on your career site, anybody that came to an event and registered, anybody that you uploaded into the system through our import capability, all sits here within your internal database. We call that telemetry. Externally, you might have a license for Beyond, you might have a license for Career Builder, you might have a license for Indeed, you might have a license for Monster, right? So whatever databases you have licenses for, we're going to search that data at the same time. So when we search, we are searching both your internal data you already own, as well as the external data, which is brand new to your organization. You haven't brought it into the organization yet. So on my quick and dirty search here, I brought back about 500 people from my telemetry database and about 1,900 from Beyond and about 400 from Indeed. all of the results come in here on the right-hand side, and they are rank ordered in terms of relevancy. And the relevancy has to do with the relationship between the job title and location and these keywords and the weightings of these keywords. So if I'm not specifically happy with what's coming back, and then I might want to make some changes here and make a couple of these. Maybe I want to make J2EE required, not just nice to have, and I might change that, and I can go ahead and click the search, and it's going to bring back a different result in terms of who's up at the top, and what the ranking is between, in this case, 1 and 137, right? The same thing on the external databases, but there's a twist here. So if you're a really good recruiter, as I'm sure your team is fantastic, your team understands the logical differences between the search mechanisms of, let's say, Beyond and Monster and Career Builder and Dice, etc. So what we've done here is we've given you access to the actual filters for those third-party databases so that you can then come in and use the specific filters that Beyond uses. And this gives you that extra level of comfort. So you can say, listen, for somebody, I'm really looking for somebody coming out of Beyond that has 3 to 20 years experience, and I can go ahead and apply the filters just to the Beyond results. And again, that's going to change the ranking of the people that come back on Beyond. So it's as simple as that, and it gives you that extra measure of comfort that you're getting the data that you require, not only from your internal data, but then also from your external data. Now, if you'll notice this little icon here, I like to call it an iTunes cloud, because it reminds me that if I click here, I'm going to probably spend or burn a credit from Beyond, and that's okay, because as I come up here, I can say, well, I've got 25 credits allocated to me as a user. So far, I haven't used any today, so I can go ahead and I can select a couple of people from here, and I can just go ahead and, yep, I'm happy with these. And I can say, you know what, these 4 candidates, let's download them and just add them to the database in general. Or maybe more importantly, let's download them and let's add them to that job that I was working on. I've got a voice over IP engineer job I think they'd be well suited for. So now I've just downloaded that data. So I've built my talent pool up by 4 qualified people. And I've organized the data because I've put them against a short list for voice over IP engineer role, just that quickly and that simply, which is kind of fun. So let's come back to the telemetry data, which is data I already own, paid for it in the past, or people came and applied. I already own that data. As I bring back searches, if you notice, I've got lots of filters here that I can use. I can use typical filters that are sitting here on the front page, like how old is the resume? Do they have a degree? Do they have an email? What source did they come from? Are there any specific tags that I'm looking for? How many years experience? Or I can come here and I can pull some data like applicant status out of iCIMS. So show me everybody who's applied for a job, or show me everybody who got an interview, or was rejected for a job, or don't include people that are interviewing for a job. So that would be my applicant status filter as well. We also have filters that are built on questions that get asked when people come into a talent network. So again, it helps you to build a segmented database using data that makes a lot of sense for you. Okay. Now I'm going to make a little bit of a switch here, and I'm going to go into a save search so I can show you some of the things that we can do once you've saved a search. There's a lot of great things that you can do with a search. So you don't have to create a search every time you come into the system. If you're happy with a search, you save it. All you have to do is open that search, and it's always going to run live. Notice that as I open it, it's out there running live on the databases, and it's bringing me back fresh data every time I open that. But the other nice things that we can do with a save search is we can create an auto search. So I'm happy with Java, an Oracle database, Chicago, 25 miles around. So because it's saved, I can now open up an auto search. So I come in here and I tell the system, listen, please run this search on a continuous basis for me. Every time you find somebody new, I want you to add them to, a special folder. So I'll go ahead and say, add them to my favorites folder, right? Or if I'm searching for a specific job, I can say, you know what, add them to my HRIS specialist role, if you will. So I can automatically run a search, put them in a folder, or put them on one of my job pipelines. I can also automatically add a search. So I've already got tags here added for auto search and tag 2, whatever that means, right? I can go ahead and add another tag to that, and this way everybody that comes in for this search is going to get these tags added to their applicant record, so I can actually then search for those tags when I run my next search. I can also tell the system which job boards to go out and search for. So let's say I can burn 25 credits a day on Beyond. So for this particular search, anybody in the top 25, limit the credits to 3 per day, right? And run the search for 2 weeks. And I can just schedule that right here. Same with Career Builder. I've got 50 per day, so maybe I want to limit it to the top 25 jobs, but of the top 25, bring me back 10 per day and run this search for 3 weeks. Right? So I can tell the system literally how to do my job when I'm either sleeping or more preferably doing higher value things like interviewing and doing a selection and assessment with my hiring managers, right? So that's automated search. Allows you to set up a search, find the people you need to find, organize them in the way you need to organize them, and one of the ways you might want to organize them is by pushing them into a specific folder. So here's a folder that has an auto search attached to it. So candidates are coming automatically into this as a result of an auto search. And when they hit that folder, I can now create some automated emails in that folder. So I might want to say, listen, just send an automatic email every time somebody comes into the folder. I want the automated email to come from me or from another user. I want to use a specific template. In this case, I'm going to use a branded template to invite to apply for a job. And I want you to attach that voice over IP job to this template so that they have the specific URL to click when they get that. And let's say we're tracking this against a very specific diversity campaign because we're sending emails, we're placing job ads, we're creating websites all against the same diversity, the same campaign. So now every time somebody gets automatically searched and automatically put into this folder, they're going to get an automatic email inviting them to apply for this specific job as a part of my diversity campaign. Right? Now, if you don't want it to be automated at the point of coming into the folder, then maybe your business process is going to be that you automatically search and push people into folders, but then you come and take a view of them, and anytime somebody gets moved to, let's say, a status of invite to apply, now you set up that automated email in the exact same way, so that when you come into your folder, and you're doing what I like to call maturing the data, right? Looking at the resume, for instance, adding new data, adding tags, adding notes, etc. Now you're so happy with this person that you move them from one stage to the next. By the time they get to invited to apply, now that automated email kicks in to invite them to apply for the specific job that this folder was set up to work for. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of sense of how the tool can be used both manually by purple squirrel hunters, right, as well as in an automated process across several different use cases. So I want to switch
And
up, but yep, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I just to put a little button on that, a lot of our clients and a lot of the client prospects that we talk to are really making that shift from sort of more reactive to more proactive for a lot of the reasons that we talked about. And the system is really designed to automate so much of that sourcing process, that proactive outreach, because we realize one of the biggest things that you're up against when you're using technology like this is, excuse me, not only will the technology work, but you've got sort of that internal change that needs to happen. You might have a lot of full cycle recruiters that don't do a ton of sourcing and searching, so we can automate all that to help that change, as well as it's not a real high value activity for people to be, as I said, squinting at a screen and setting up searches. The high value activity is really reacting to the candidates that come back from those, and so Telemetry does a really great job of automating that process. So you can make that change to more proactive recruiting without expecting a lot of change in the daily activities of your full cycle recruiters.
And we've talked a lot about building the database. We talked about data that comes in from the ATS, how you search and pull data in from third-party databases. But there's a lot of other recruiting activity that goes on that generates the need to pull data into the system. So we give you a really easy way to do either a new import where you can come in and import a zip file, and every resume in that zip file becomes a specific profile that can then get automatically pushed to a job, a folder, given a tag, given a note, etc. Or a zip file. I'm sorry, a CSV file where each of the contacts in that CSV file becomes a profile in your CRM that can be pushed to a job automatically, tagged, noted, emailed, etc. So a real simple way to import data. And then when you work with us, and some of your recruiters might be very active in LinkedIn, as you find people in LinkedIn, we give you a really simple way to pull those folks together with their contact information, if you have that inside of LinkedIn, into the database. You simply need to highlight their profile, very simple like this, and then one click in the right hand corner up here, for an add-in, it's going to process that LinkedIn profile, and it's going to save it to a specific folder. You can change that folder. It's going to give it a source. In this case, it was LinkedIn, and I've got the contact information for this person. All I have to do is pull that person into Talemetry, and it's very quick and very easy. And there's that new profile inside of Talemetry. So we want to make it really simple for you to bring data in, manage that data in the way that we were talking about. But there's also a final way to bring data in, which brings me a little bit to our candidate experience. And we won't spend a lot of time here, but Talemetry, because we're a complete platform, can also give you a mobile career site, landing pages, talent network pages, and most importantly, both talent registration forms as well as mobile application process, either for an open job. So they could, as you search for your jobs, and you get everything you expect in a career site in today's marketplace, as you apply for a role, that application process for us is fully mobile, and it writes the data straight into the ATS, so that it makes for a really quick and simple process. If this was on a smartphone, I probably wouldn't upload a resume. I might use my LinkedIn profile, and that's just a quick capture. If I don't use a LinkedIn profile, I would prefer a resume. Maybe I've got it on one of the cloud storage places where I can grab it in. We're going to parse it there. We're going to ask all the relevant questions that need to be asked, and the answers written into the ATS. So all of this is now parsed. You can see how quick and easy it is to parse. There's all of my work history. I told you I started before the internet. And there's proof positive right there. All of my work history is here, and then any questions that you may need to ask on a screening basis get asked, and everything is asked, and all the data is captured. Here's EEO. All of the data is captured in very simple, very easy to use mobile forms, and then that data is written into the ATS, and the applicant then gets an email thanking them for their application. But we also use that very same technology for folks who may not be interested in applying for a job yet, or maybe you've sent them a marketing email that says, hey, would you come and join our talent network? And so when they come and join the talent network, it's a very similar process. But if you notice, and I know I went quickly, so I apologize for that, but if you notice, the workflow is a little bit different, because in this case, rather than applying for a job at my fake company, Black Bear, they're now joining a talent network. So I'm not going to ask them to validate their work history. I'm only going to ask them one or two questions so that I know later on in the Source and CRM tool, as I showed you earlier, I can actually use the answers to these questions to segment an email marketing community. So now I know that this person is interested in HR and information technology. They've got a master's degree. So the next time I'm looking for a project manager to run, an HCM project in my company, I'm going to search for somebody that answered the questions this way and send them an email to apply. So that's the other way that we get data into the system so that it can properly be searched, segmented, and emailed. So once we have it in the system and we've searched and we've segmented the data and we want to send out a nice email to folks, all we have to do is take that segmented database, pull up an email. We've got nicely branded templates, and I'm going to go ahead and use a template from my Black Bear company again. So just say if this is an invitation to apply for a job, it could be an invitation to join a talent network, right? If it's an invitation to apply for a job, then I want to go ahead and add that voice over IP role again so that they're getting the proper information. And now I've created a really nicely branded HTML email. If I don't want to send it out now, I can go ahead and delay that and schedule it for some other time to go out, and I can preview it. And when I preview it, I'll notice that it's all been mail merged, right? So it now says, instead of dear first name, each person in that list, and that person doesn't have a name in the list, each person in that list will have their name in there, and we'll have my name here. So here's dear Floyd. It's going to have the name of the recruiter in here. So here's my name as a recruiter. Here's the name for the job that I attached to the email template, where that job is located, and most importantly, here's a URL for that person to go and apply for that job. And then one other tidbit, a lot of people who get an email like this go, well, I haven't heard about that company. Let me go Google that company. Well, instead of making them leave here and go Google so you can't track them anymore, how about putting in a URL to the career site you want them to go to? They can click that career site, and now you've tracked their journey into that a career site, which is also important from a tracking perspective. And in my final 2 minutes here, speaking about tracking perspective, you almost want to begin with the end in mind, and part of that is the ability to do things like this. The ability to look at your data across several channels. So I want to be able to light up all of these channels to market: job boards, resume databases, data imports, social networking, agencies, right? Events like campus and military events and diversity hiring, internal databases, and I want to be able to show the data that says how many people saw jobs in each of these channels, and more specifically, more importantly, each of the specific sources represented by that channel. So not just job boards, but which job boards gave me views, gave me application starts, gave me application completes, and gave me hireds, right? So that's just one of the elements that you want when you are looking at analytics. So what is my source activity across all of the channels? I don't have to go to 2 and 3 different places to pull a report for my job boards, and then another place to pull a report for my pay-per-click advertising, and yet another place to pull a report from my email. I can see right here that all of these emails were sent out. They were sent out to people that came into the system from a number of different sources. And of all of this activity over the past year, I know that I had 129 hires from the collective activity of my recruiters who imported resumes, segmented the database, sent emails, and then people applied through those emails, applied, and eventually were hired. So that's just a quick example of some of the source tracking that we're able to do. The other nice tracking that we're able to do as well is when people are applying for jobs or when they're joining your talent network, you want to ask certain data, and we're always balancing the act between how much data do we need to collect and how quickly do we want the application process to be. So each of these represents a different application or registration form depending upon whether it's a job or a talent network. So in this default workflow, you can see that there was one job, 4 people applied, and 2 of them dropped off. And it's a pretty lengthy process. So I might want to come in here and say, okay, what page specifically did they drop off on? Do I really need those answers right now? Or can I shorten it so that I get, a better completion rate? Like, this one had a 77.8% completion rate, but all we ever asked them to do was upload their resume and confirm it, and then they were in. Maybe we make it shorter for them and have them come back and complete the more formalized application later on in the process if what we're trying to do is, increase our completion rates as well. Well, those are just two, whet your appetite, analytics. There's tons more analytics, but Ian, you made me run out of time.
All right. So just thanks, Stephen, and it was great that you could kind of go into that kind of depth. It's tough to do in a short period of time, and we're about out of time. I just want to let everybody know that we will be sending you out an automated email that will give you the slides as well as a link to a replay of the webinar. If you want to learn more about telemetry sourcing and engagement solutions and our recruitment marketing platforms, you can go to talemetry.com or send me an email as well if you have any specific questions, and I can get those to the right people to have the questions answered. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sitting through the whole thing. Hope it was helpful, and invite you to go out and have a great day.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.